on this. All right. We are now live on Facebook and recording. Awesome. Niloo Golshan, it's just such a privilege to be able to have this conversation and so celebrate this day. Of our amazing book lunch. Do you have your book?
Yes, I do. It's right here. Hello, everyone. Such a blessing to be here. Such a privilege.
Truly,
Oh,
and
thank you.
you're clear away all the way across the sea to in Hawaii. And here we are celebrating a beautiful book launch. I want to properly introduce you for the launch of this book. She is one of our featured authors. Niloo Golshan is a teacher, mentor, alchemist, and sensory transformation facilitator. She is a devoted spiritual guide with over 4 decades of experience on a journey of self-realization and inner transformation. With a rare blend of empathy, a delightful sense of humor, and a talent for evoking joy, she creates spaces that awaken all 5 senses, inspiring a holistic approach to a healthy lifestyle. Niloo is a proud member of 2 wise and well-rounded beautiful daughters. Her spiritual journey includes transformative pilgrimages to India and initiations into Kaira. Is that how you say that? Kaira meditation.
Kriya. Yes,
Yeah.
Kriya. Mhm.
And in the Sacred Geometry Mystery School in Bali, as well as mystical initiations in the ancient goddess temples of Europe. With its rich tapestry of knowledge, wisdom, and hands-on experience, Niloo is passionately committed to leading and supporting women on their paths of personal evolution and self-exploration. With that, you'll have to read the rest of her bio in the book, in the chapter. She wrote chapter 1. Niloo, let's talk about your chapter. When Marcia approached you and then asked you to be a contributing featured author, what was your reaction?
Oh my goodness. Well, it was a privilege, obviously. I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I'm not an author. How can I be in this book? Um, But then I realized that there's been many messages coming through in the past couple of decades from various teachers and masters and astrologists that had propelled me to write a book. They've been telling me, you need to write a book. You have so much to offer. You have so much to share. And I always thought, no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not an author. I know what you're talking about. English is my second language. I'm not going to write a book. You know what? I don't know what you're saying. So when this opportunity came about, and I actually was in Egypt on a goddess pilgrimage where there was 10 women on a boat. We got to go to these incredible goddess temples. And the messages that I was getting through that pilgrimage was so loud this time. You need to write a book. And I just finally surrendered to the divine voice. And I declared that to the universe. Okay, when I go back to Maui, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write something. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to share my experiences with other women and let them know that they're not alone. Let them know that what I went through is something that they could possibly be going through and that they're not alone. And if I could come out of it, being where I am right now and really being in my body and connected to my femininity, then I'm gonna write about it. Well, that scared the hell out of me, just declaring that. But as soon as I declared that, the universe came through. And next thing I know, I'm talking to Marsh and just feeling this amazing soul connection with her. And I'm writing this book. I mean, I'm writing this chapter in this incredible book. So here I am.
And it's a good start. Now you have a book of your own to put together.
Yes. That sounds amazing.
Your dedication really struck my heart, as I read it, and I'd like to read it. It's to the resilient women of Iran and all women refugees worldwide, to the courageous souls on a quest for connection and belonging, and to the remarkable women who have shaped my life in my female lineage, from my grandmothers, my mother, my sister, my two daughters, and to all loyal friendships embodying the true sense of sisterhood. So your chapter contains a richness. They all do. Each of the chapter is pretty amazing. But tell us a little bit of the backstory so we understand what your chapter is about and the true depth and richness of your chapter.
Yes. So I chose to share with in the book, in the chapter, that about the experience I had as a 13-year-old, having to leave my country of Iran, and what was supposed to be a couple of weeks in Israel for my family to kind of stay away from the turmoil that was starting to happen. It turned out to be a time where we found out that the revolution was starting and things were getting worse. And so our family never returned back to Iran. And so that feeling of exile, going from Israel to the United States, and feeling as a 13-year-old, feeling that I don't have a home. Where do I belong? Who am I? And going through that turmoil inside started a journey in my spiritual path for me to look outside myself to try to find what home felt like. And at the time, I didn't realize that I had completely disconnected from the first 13 years of my life because it was so painful. So I was looking for this feeling of home. What was it? And so it took me on a journey of various lineages and going to different countries and teachers and masters and gurus, where I talk about it in the book a little bit. But it, ultimately brought me to a place where I found that home was inside of myself. It was nothing outside of me. And you hear that a lot. I used to read this all the time in books, go inside, the universe is inside of you. And I was like, what are they talking about? and so when I realized now 4 decades later, that what I was looking on the outside was all inside of me. And particularly, I think for women, it is the home is our womb. It is the womb that really connects us to the divine. And so I went into that place where I could really come back to myself and find that divine feminine through this path inside of myself.
How beautiful. There's an interesting quote at the beginning of your chapter. Do you mind to share that with us?
Yes, absolutely. So the quote says, each of us experiences a transformative journey of remembering ourselves, calling back fragmented parts of self and integrating them into a deeper experience of connection, authenticity, and wholeness. I call this walking the path of the divine feminine.
How beautiful. That is truly beautiful. So
Thank you.
as you journeyed through this, I know you went through a lot of life changes and trying to discover yourself as from a 13-year-old to a married woman to having children, and then the journey from there to be where you are today. Share that journey and what your discoveries were along the way about you as a person and about the world you live in.
Wow. The journey, I believe, was finding myself again. How do I find that peace? How do I become the person that I know I am, but I'm not living it on the outside? How could my inner being be also on my outer being? How can I have that authenticity when the inner and the outside match? And so I went through a very challenging time where I had incredible health issues. I was hospitalized. I had autoimmune disease. I was going to doctors. I had, at the time, I had a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, two daughters. I was going through a turmoil in my marriage where I was trying to make it work and put it all together, but I was unhappy. And so there, I was just looking. I was looking and I was praying and I was on a spiritual path, which is the one thing that I never gave up, no matter what was happening. I prayed and I meditated and did my yoga and just going to teacher. And that discipline really allowed me to stay in the space where I could just surrender to the divine. And one day I heard a tiny little whisper that said, "My child, how can I help you if you're not listening to my messages?" Ah, and I still get goosebumps when I hear that. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not really listening to all the messages. I'm only picking the ones that are easy. And if I really listen, my whole life might fall apart. And who am I if that happens? And so when I went through all the different steps of creating that bravery, even though I was so fearful, just jumped in and I listened and I went one step at a time forward, I came out having to really find my authenticity through the changes I needed to make. And one of the changes was getting a divorce, and the other one was to move to Maui, and just all of these different big changes that brought me to a place of healing and connecting to that divine feminine within.
That's beautiful. So what are some of the sacred practices that you do as a regular routine for yourself to keep yourself kind of on track and serving in the world the way you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love that. I hear that a lot from women who come over and they say, "Oh my goodness, your home is like a temple." And I find that to be such a beautiful compliment because that is the lifestyle that I live. I create this outer temple in my home. That is my sanctuary. And I use the five senses. So I bring in this temple, I have, for sight, I have there's beauty everywhere. There is anything that could, flowers, and with the smell, I have beautiful candles. I have bells and music and mantras playing, and I have there's always beautiful music playing in the background that uplift the vibration. I'm really connected with what I put in my body, what I listen to, what I'm smelling, all the senses, what I'm touching. Everything has to feel like that divine feminine connection to beauty. And so when I take the temple on the outside, which is my home, and I create that temple inside of me, then I can use the five senses to create that balance of the temple within and without. And that ritual that I do every day, where I go around and I use incense and I pray and I purify the area, I also bring that into my own being, where I choose what I eat and I choose what I drink and what I put in my body. And what goes inside is also on the outside. So as within is without, right? That saying. And so that creating that temple, I believe inside and out, really connects us to the divine, connects us to that wisdom of the womb.
How,
That's what I call it, the
how
wisdom of the
beautiful.
womb.
And I
Yes,
admire your radiance because even just describing it, you have a glow about you that is just truly amazing.
thank you.
Yeah.
You're so kind.
So as you serve in the world today, as you make an impact, if someone was to read your chapter and say, I would love to work with this woman, what is your process of working with others to help them to find their way in the world as well?
Yes, that's a good question. My process is creating a space where I can remind women of their divinity. I can show them the tools they can use, as I did, and I'm still doing, to connect to that womb wisdom. We all have that wisdom, but we have created so many different kinds of masks to be able to survive in the world where we don't have access to it, but it's always there, you know? And so to be able to say, look, you're not alone. I have been there. I'm here for you. And I'm here to support you in any way I can for you to connect to that divine feminine wisdom. And so by creating a process for them, and it's individual for each person, they will be able to go inside and connect to that power, to that wisdom, to the whisper that says, you're an awesome woman, you got this. And then they can see their gifts. And then they can say, hey, am I using my gifts in this lifetime? What am I doing with these beautiful gifts that I've gotten from the divine, you know?
Right.
And so when we get to that place, then we can really live in our authenticity and bring joy into our lives.
Really, truly tapping into their own, not only their own divinity, but their divine intuition.
Exactly. The divine
And
intuition.
actually listening to that voice that keeps talking to us, just like the voices, you're not listening to me.
Yes. And that intuition is just so radiant in our body. It's just so there. And we know, women know, as when we're connected to the womb, we just know. When we know, we know. And so, but a lot of times we just dismiss it. Well, no, I'm just paranoid, or this doesn't make sense. Well, most of the times it doesn't make sense, And so trusting and having faith in the wisdom whisper, in the intuition, is what makes us live our own authentic life without trying to compare ourselves to others.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the name of your chapter is Walking the Path of the Divine Feminine, and you certainly exude that ability to do that. And you were willing to walk that journey, which is the remarkable part. And so what is one word, or maybe it's hard to say one word, but maybe just a collection, short sentences of words that you would like to share, to impart to somebody that picks up this chapter and wonders, what's this woman have to say? What is she bringing to the world? And why would you want her to read your chapter?
Yes, I think that what I would like the readers to get from the chapter when they read this, that they can realize that there is a wisdom, a divine wisdom, that you were saying intuition, there's different ways to say it. Intuition, a whisper, feminine, a divine feminine whisper. I call it this divine wisdom that is in every single one of us. And that connection to the divine is very individual. And so when we can really learn to sit and listen to that whisper, listen to that wisdom, we're not alone. We have so much information based on where we are, where we've been, where we're going. And if we could just surrender to that voice, then we can really live in that space of knowing that where I'm going right now, my trajectory is based on who I am, not what society tells me where I should be.
Right.
That brings peace into our own being, because we're always being, as women, we have so much pressure on us, right?
Right.
You have to look young. You're not supposed to age. You're supposed to make money. You're supposed to be all of this.
Supposed to be everything.
You have to be everything. And when we can just sit with, like, what are my gifts? What am I supposed to be doing right here, right now? Then we can come to the now, we come to the moment, become connect to the womb wisdom, and live from a place of, I know. That knowing, yes,
Yes,
that
the
knowing.
divine knowingness, isn't it? Yeah.
Divine knowing, yes, there's nothing like it. And no one can take it away from you. When you're that connected, no one can say anything. You can just nod and say, I hear you.
Yeah.
But then you just say to yourself, I know. I know what I know.
This is so beautiful. So this is the book, Divine Legacy, and the subtitle is A New Era, Join the Millions of Women Who Are Liberating the Wealth of Feminine Prosperity to Reshape Their Work, Relationships, Wellness, and ultimately the world. Thank you for this gorgeous interview, this beautiful person that you are, and for saying
Yeah.
yes to sharing in this whole amazing woman collection.
Yes, thank you, Becky, and thanks everyone for watching. Looking forward to more.
Awesome. And there, you can get this book it's on Amazon right now. It will soon be in all of the online bookstores. Um, and there are a collection of these amazing women that have said yes to this book. So what a beautiful interview. And thank you, Niloo.
Thank you, Becky. Have a beautiful day.
You
Thanks,
too.
everyone.
Thank you.